Your life runs on autopilot until you find the switch. Today, we uncover the invisible mindset switch controlling your results. Let me ask you something straight. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to effortlessly attract success, wealth, opportunity, while others, maybe even you, feel stuck, running hard but going nowhere? You look around, you see the strategies, you hear the advice, you might even buy the courses, but something isn't clicking. The results aren't showing up the way you thought they would. Why? Because most people are trying to fix the outside without ever understanding the inside. They're polishing the fruit while the root is rotten. Today, I want to talk about the most powerful mechanism controlling your entire life, something most people don't even know exists. I call it mindset, the invisible switch. That's right. Inside every single one of you, right now, there's a switch. You can't see it, you can't touch it, but oh, believe me, it is running the show. It's dictating what you believe is possible for you. It's dictating the opportunities you see versus the ones you're blind to. It's dictating the income level you think you deserve. It's dictating the problems you run from instead of the problems you run towards to solve. This switch, my friends, is your mindset. Think about it like the master control for your reality. Most people, their switch is stuck on the default setting. What's that? It's scarcity. It's limitation. It's, I can't afford that. It's, that's not for people like me. It's too hard. It's, what if I fail? This setting keeps you playing small. It keeps you focused on just getting by, on protecting what little you have, instead of creating abundance. It turns you into a thermometer, just reflecting the temperature of your circumstances, instead of being the thermostat that sets the temperature. But here's the incredible, life-altering truth. You have control over that switch. It's invisible, yes, which is why most people miss it. They blame the economy, their boss, their upbringing, the system. They blame everything external. Why? Because they haven't become aware of the internal switch. Awareness is the first step. You gotta know the switch exists before you can even think about changing its setting. Are you living by default, letting that switch stay on limitation? Or are you ready to consciously, deliberately, flip the switch? The idea that your internal world dictates your external reality is fundamental, yet often overlooked in the frantic pace of trying to manage life from the outside in. Think of your mindset not just as a collection of thoughts or attitudes, but as the core operating system running your life, the very engine determining the performance you get. It's the invisible blueprint from which your tangible experiences are constructed. This internal causation means that what you encounter daily, the level of your income, the state of your physical health, the quality of your relationships, the opportunities that seem to find you or elude you, isn't primarily the result of luck, circumstance, or external forces acting upon you randomly. Instead, these results are the direct, logical, and often predictable output generated by the settings of your internal switch, your deeply ingrained beliefs, assumptions, and dominant patterns of thinking. Your life unfolds from the inside out. Consider how this works. Your mindset acts as a powerful filter, shaping how you perceive everything around you. Faced with an economic downturn, one person, operating from a mindset of scarcity and fear, sees only job losses, shrinking markets, and reasons to retreat. Another individual, equipped with a mindset tuned to opportunity and problem-solving, might see the same downturn as a chance to innovate, to meet new needs, to gain market share while others hesitate, or to acquire assets at a discount. The external event is the same, but the internal filter, the mindset, determines the perceived reality and thus the subsequent actions taken. This internal setting doesn't just color your perception, it actively drives your decisions and behaviors. If your core belief system, your mindset's programming, tells you that you are capable, resourceful, and deserving of success, you will naturally make choices aligned with that belief. You'll pursue ambitious goals, invest in your skills, network with confidence, and negotiate assertively. Conversely, if your internal switch is set to not good enough or wealth is for other people, you will unconsciously sabotage opportunities, shy away from challenges, avoid asking for what you're worth, and make decisions that reinforce that limiting belief. Your actions, stemming directly from these internal directives, are what build your external reality brick by brick. The power of this internal causation extends to how you interpret events, especially setbacks. Life inevitably involves challenges, failures, and obstacles. An individual whose mindset switches fixed on victimhood or fixed limitations will interpret these events as confirmation that life is unfair or that they lack the inherent ability to succeed, leading to resignation or blame. However, someone whose internal programming emphasizes growth, resilience, and learning will see the exact same setback as valuable feedback, a necessary part of the process, an opportunity to learn, adapt, and come back stronger. This interpretation, dictated entirely by the internal mindset, determines whether a stumbling block becomes a stepping stone or a stopping point. Furthermore, this internal state influences the energy you project and the connections you make. A mindset rooted in confidence, value creation, and positive expectation tends to attract like-minded individuals and favorable circumstances, almost as if by resonance. People are generally drawn to positivity, capability, and certainty. Conversely, a mindset dominated by fear, lack, and insecurity can often repel opportunities or attract situations that mirror those internal states. It's not mystical, it's practical. Your internal state broadcasts itself through your demeanor, your language, your posture, and your actions, influencing how the world responds to you. This principle operates across all domains. In health, beliefs about your body's resilience, your ability to manage stress, and your worthiness of self-care directly influence your habits regarding diet, exercise, and rest, ultimately shaping your physical condition. In relationships, underlying assumptions about trust, communication, and self-worth dictate who you connect with, how you navigate disagreements, and the overall health of your bonds. The common thread is the primacy of the internal landscape. The reason this concept feels elusive, why the switch seems invisible, is because much of this internal programming operates beneath conscious awareness. It's built from past experiences, childhood conditioning, societal messages, and repeated thoughts that have solidified into automatic beliefs. People become so accustomed to their specific mindset that they assume it's simply the way things are, failing to recognize it as the powerful internal cause agent shaping their entire experience of the way things are. They focus on managing the effects, struggling with debt, battling illness, dealing with difficult relationships, without ever addressing the root cause originating within their own patterns of thought and belief. Understanding this principle shifts the locus of control from external circumstances to internal management. This internal mechanism, this invisible switch of mindset, doesn't operate on a complex spectrum with infinite gradations for most practical purposes. It functions more like a fundamental toggle between two dominant, opposing states. Think of it as having two primary settings that dictate the entire flavor and direction of your experience. On one side, you have the setting of scarcity and limitation. This is the mode where the focus habitually gravitates towards what is lacking, what might be lost, and the potential for failure. It operates from an underlying assumption that resources, whether time, money, opportunities, or even love, are finite, scarce, and shrinking. Life, viewed through this lens, often feels like a zero-sum game where one person's gain necessitates another's loss. This scarcity setting magnifies problems, highlights obstacles, and constantly whispers reasons why things are impossible or too risky. It breeds fear, anxiety, and a sense of powerlessness. When this switch is flipped to scarcity, decisions are typically defensive, aimed at conserving rather than creating, protecting rather than expanding. Opportunities are often missed entirely because the filter is set to primarily detect threats and limitations, rendering possibilities invisible or seemingly unattainable. It's the mindset that says, "I can't afford it," rather than asking, "How can I create the value to afford it?" It fosters comparison, envy, and a competitive spirit rooted in the fear of being left behind or having something taken away. This setting often feels like the default for many, Perhaps due to societal conditioning that emphasizes competition for limited spots, media focus on problems, or even older survival instincts hardwired to look for danger. It can feel realistic because it focuses on tangible constraints, but it's a reality defined entirely by its perceived limits. The alternative position for this internal switch is the setting of abundance and possibility. Operating from this mode means the focus naturally shifts towards sufficiency, potential, solutions, and opportunities. It rests on an underlying belief that resources are expandable, creativity is limitless, and there is plenty to go around. Life, seen through the abundance lens, appears more like a positive-sum game, where collaboration can create more for everyone, and another person's success can be a source of inspiration or even create new avenues for others. This setting encourages looking for the how, finding ways around obstacles, and viewing challenges as opportunities for growth or innovation. It fosters creativity, resilience, generosity, and a sense of empowerment. When the switch is set to abundance, decisions tend to be proactive, aimed at creation, contribution, and expansion. Risks are assessed not just based on potential loss but balanced against potential gain and learning. Opportunities are more readily perceived and pursued because the filter is attuned to potential and solutions. It's the mindset that asks, "What's possible here?" or "How can we make this work?" It promotes collaboration and celebrates shared successes, understanding that value creation often multiplies. The crucial aspect here is recognizing that you are constantly operating from one of these dominant settings, and this operation is fundamentally a matter of choice, whether that choice is made consciously or by default. If you have never deliberately examined your underlying beliefs and actively chosen to cultivate an abundance mindset, chances are your switch defaults to the scarcity setting, simply because it's passively absorbed from the surrounding environment or past experiences. It becomes an unconscious choice made through lack of awareness. However, the moment you become aware that these two distinct operational modes exist, you gain the power to consciously select your setting. This doesn't mean denying the existence of challenges or constraints in the external world. It means choosing the internal framework through which you perceive, interpret, and respond to those circumstances. Choosing abundance isn't about naive optimism. It's about intentionally directing your focus towards possibilities, solutions, and your own capacity to create and contribute, even amidst difficulties. You are always making a choice about which fundamental belief system, lack or sufficiency, limitation or possibility, will govern your thoughts, feelings, decisions, and actions. The journey towards intentionally shaping your reality through mindset begins not with effort or techniques, but with the quiet, illuminating power of awareness. You simply cannot gain conscious control over something you don't even know is there, operating silently in the background. Think about the internal switch we've discussed. Its power often lies in its invisibility, its subconscious operation. It directs your life on autopilot, guided by past programming and ingrained beliefs, unless and until you bring the light of conscious awareness to it. Trying to change your results without first becoming aware of the underlying mindset driving them is like trying to navigate the bustling streets of Faisalabad to reach a specific destination, perhaps the clock tower, without first knowing your current location on the map or even being aware that a map exists. You might move, expend energy, even feel like you're making progress, but without that initial awareness of your starting point and the path, your efforts are likely to be random, inefficient, and ultimately frustrating. Awareness, in this context, is the act of turning your attention inward to recognize that this powerful internal mechanism, your mindset, truly exists and is profoundly influencing your experiences right here, right now. It's acknowledging that your financial situation, your career trajectory, your relationships aren't just happening to you because of external circumstances in Punjab or beyond, but are significantly shaped by the internal settings you hold. Following this recognition comes the crucial step of identifying the switch's current position. This requires honest self-observation, a willingness to look at your habitual thought patterns without immediate judgment. What are the automatic thoughts that arise when you consider a new business venture, a potential relationship, or a significant challenge? Right now, on this Sunday afternoon, what stories are you telling yourself about your capabilities, about what's possible for you? Are they narratives of limitation, echoing scarcity beliefs like, there aren't enough opportunities here, or I don't have the right connections? Or do they lean towards possibility, asking, how can I create value? What resources can I leverage? What's the first step I can take? Pay attention to your recurring emotional responses too. Does thinking about your goals fill you with energy and anticipation, or with dread and anxiety? These thoughts and feelings are the indicators, the readouts, showing whether your internal switch is currently favoring the path of limitation or the path of abundance. This process of becoming aware is absolutely foundational because it provides the necessary starting point for any deliberate change. Imagine the complex textile machinery vital to Faisalabad's industry. A skilled technician wouldn't start randomly adjusting levers or replacing parts hoping to fix a problem. Their first step is always diagnosis, becoming aware of the machine's current state, identifying precisely where the issue lies. Similarly, attempting to install new beliefs or think positive without first being aware of the specific limiting beliefs currently running the show is ineffective. You need to know what you're working with before you can modify it. Awareness reveals the specific patterns, the bugs in your internal programming that need addressing. It stops you from wasting energy fighting shadows or trying superficial fixes that don't touch the root cause. Furthermore, the very act of becoming aware begins to shift your relationship with your mindset. When you observe your thoughts and beliefs instead of being completely swept away by them, you create a space between the observer, you, and the observed, the thought pattern. In this space lies your power to choose. You realize that these thoughts are not necessarily truth, but rather mental habits or programmed responses. This realization itself reduces their automatic power over you. You move from being unconsciously driven by your mindset to being consciously aware of it, transforming it from an invisible master into a tool you can learn to manage and direct. This initial step of illumination, of simply seeing what is the non-negotiable prerequisite for intentionally flipping the switch towards the results you truly desire. Gaining awareness of your internal mindset switch and its current setting is the essential first step, the illumination, but it doesn't automatically change the setting itself. Flipping that switch from a default position of scarcity and limitation to one of abundance and possibility is not a passive event. It doesn't happen through mere hoping or wishing. It demands deliberate, conscious, and sustained action. This is where the real work begins, the conscious effort to rewire your internal operating system. It requires intentionally engaging in specific practices designed to overwrite old programming and establish new patterns. One of the most fundamental actions is actively changing core beliefs. Once awareness has highlighted a limiting belief, perhaps a belief about your own capabilities or about the potential for success within the economic landscape of Faisalabad, you must deliberately challenge it. Question its origins, look for evidence that contradicts it, and consciously choose a more empowering belief to install in its place. This involves more than just thinking a new thought occasionally. It often requires consistent repetition, acting as if the new belief is already true, and gathering experiences that reinforce it. It's like diligently weeding a garden and planting new seeds where the weeds once grew. Equally crucial is the deliberate shifting of your focus. The mind tends to gravitate towards familiar patterns, which for many might be focusing on problems, obstacles, or what's lacking. Flipping the switch necessitates consciously redirecting your attention, moment by moment, towards solutions, opportunities, gratitude, and evidence of abundance. When challenges arise, as they inevitably do, the deliberate action is to ask, what can I learn from this? Or, what's the opportunity here? Rather than dwelling on the difficulty. This requires mental discipline, actively choosing where your mental energy flows, training your mind to seek out the positive potential in every situation you encounter, whether personal or professional, right here in Punjab or anywhere else. The language you use is another powerful lever for action. Your words, both spoken aloud and thought internally, shape your reality. Deliberately altering your language involves catching yourself using words of limitation, lack, or victimhood, I can't, it's impossible, they won't let me, and consciously replacing them with language of possibility, ownership, and action, how can I? What if? I choose to. I will find a way. This isn't about dishonest positivity. It's about using language that opens doors in your mind rather than closing them. The words you choose to articulate your experience, starting right now, this afternoon on May 4th, actively program your subconscious and influence your actions. Furthermore, flipping the switch involves deliberately upgrading your associations. The people you spend time with, the books you read, the content you consume, they all influence your mindset. Consciously choose to surround yourself with individuals who operate from a place of possibility, who challenge you to grow, and whose success inspires you. Seek out mentors, partners, or even friends in your community or online who embody the abundance mindset. Simultaneously, make conscious choices to limit exposure to constant negativity, cynicism, or sources that reinforce scarcity thinking. Your environment profoundly impacts your internal state, and curating it is a deliberate act. Perhaps the most potent action is committing to solving problems at a higher level. A scarcity mindset often keeps focus inward on personal lack or survival. Flipping the switch towards abundance involves shifting that focus outward, identifying needs and problems in the world, perhaps within your local community in Faisalabad or on a larger scale, and dedicating yourself to providing valuable solutions. This act of contribution not only creates external value but fundamentally shifts your internal state from one of seeking to one of giving and creating. Engaging with bigger problems forces you to grow, to acquire new skills, and to operate from a place of greater capacity, naturally aligning you with abundance. All these actions require consistent, conscious effort. They are the tangible ways you actively engage in flipping that invisible switch. So, there you have it. The secret isn't some complicated external strategy you haven't found yet. The power, the control, the determining factor for everything you want to achieve, to become, to experience. It's been inside you all along. It's that invisible switch, your mindset, quietly dictating the terms of your reality. We've seen today that your results aren't random. They are a direct reflection of that internal setting. You're constantly living out the program running inside. We've seen that you face a fundamental choice every single day, every single moment. Operate from scarcity and limitation, the default setting that keeps so many stuck, or choose abundance and possibility. Awareness, as we discussed, is the key that lets you even see the switch. It's what brings this unconscious mechanism into the light, right here, right now. But seeing it isn't enough. Knowing isn't doing. The real game changer, the thing that separates those who wish from those who achieve, is deliberate action. It's the conscious effort you put in, challenging those old beliefs, relentlessly shifting your focus, consciously changing your language from can't to how can I, upgrading who you listen to, and committing to solving bigger problems. That is how you grab hold of that switch and move it. Don't you dare leave here today thinking this was just interesting information. This is your wake-up call. The control panel for your life is right behind your eyes. No one else has the controls. Not your boss, not the economy, not your past, only you. The question is, what are you going to do with that control, starting now, this afternoon in Faisalabad? Are you going to let that switch stay on the default setting, letting your circumstances dictate your life? Or are you going to step up, claim your power, and consciously, deliberately, flip the switch towards the future you desire and deserve? The choice is yours. The power is yours. The time is now. Go out and live deliberately. Flip that switch.